And we're off again. We're starting all these phones from boot. I think this is really important because it shows just how powerful the chipsets are. Yeah, you aren't going to be doing it every day, but I think it does give an indication of how many apps are loading, what's booting, and what's really important. And as we can see here, everything's starting up. The iPhone's already in. That's really quick.
It is amazing how differently the speeds are here. Samsung is in now, but we're still waiting on the other three still, and we're already well into Instagram on both the Samsung and the iPhone. Now LG is finally woken up. We're still waiting on Microsoft.
Actually, but the LG's there. It took a while to actually come in. As you can see, the Sony, we have some people before have said that's a screensaver. We've just proven there that it actually isn't functional. Android, why is it doing that Android app starting thing? So even Microsoft's going now. What's going on with Apple there? There's a
Spotify. It says you're offline, but it also says connecting at the bottom, so it is connecting. So yeah. I don't know.
So Samsung's well ahead now. We're now just loading mail there. LG's catching up though. It's already at Spotify. That's great news.
That slow boot up from Sony though, it's really hampering it.
Yeah, but it should be one of the most powerful phones on test. Asphalt now loading on the Samsung. Again, we're thinking this is going to be one of the problems for it. Spotify, I mean, Windows Phone is just taking a very, very long time to do everything. You can see the Sony is already starting to catch up a little bit, apart from that really, really long boot. So gaming on the Samsung, again, it loads so quickly.
They do load very quickly, yeah. And as you can see, already into Fruit Ninja. The iPhone, out of Fruit Ninja, iPhone's only coming into it. It just shows you how far ahead it is.
Samsung's about to, last thing to do, take a picture. Again, the camera's boots up really, really quickly. So it's already into the second lap. Now, how are we doing here? So in fifth place now, the Lumia, it's started to really drop behind. Again, LG and Sony both doing well on gaming. iPhone, there we go, we're through to the second lap.
And just watch how long the games take to load on the Lumia here. It takes what feels like forever.
Yeah, and again, I mean, when we get to Fruit Ninja, we'll see. I think Microsoft doesn't have the same quality of apps. It just looks low res. It's a different version of the game. Right, Samsung's into mail already. It's quite a long way ahead at this point. So again, it shows that it can open and close apps really quickly.
So Samsung, Apple and LG, they're all on their second round of opening the same apps that we did the first time round. But this is where it gets interesting because Samsung doesn't cache the game, so it has to reload it again from fresh.
Why do you think it does that? I mean, what's the benefit? I can't really see, if all the other apps, Android phones can do it, why does Samsung, obviously it's a chipset thing, why have that?
It will be a RAM saving, so it helps you prioritise the app that you're actually using. The iPhone's done.
But Samsung's very, very close behind. If it wasn't for that gaming thing, the Samsung would have been very, very far ahead, even if you account for human error maybe for a couple of seconds here and there.
And LG's done as well, a very impressive time.
That's very impressive considering it's got the 808 chipset. I mean, that's not as fast as people think it's going to be. It seems to be working really well. You take away that fast boot, that slow boot time for LG, it would have won the test. And it's now it's a race for the fourth place right now.
I mean, the Sony is disappointing. It's got all the power under the hood. Yeah, it doesn't seem to really portray that on screen, which is really quite odd.
Yeah, and especially when you think, okay, maybe it was the boot up, but if you see afterwards, it doesn't catch the G4, which, again, theoretically should have a slower chipset. It does really show here that Windows just isn't optimised for speed as well. I mean, you've got the animations, you've got the fact that it has to reload everything.
It's just very sluggish. Yeah, obviously, this isn't general usage. If you're just using it day to day, it won't be quite as obvious, but it just shows you in comparison to the other handsets on the market just how different it is.
But the key thing really here is that, yeah, you're right, but you won't notice it perhaps, but you press your phone so many times a day and you're losing time every second with the Windows Phone. You haven't got the apps that we've shown here. The inbuilt apps work quite nicely, the camera takes a while again though, so you see it's a long way behind. So if you want a Windows Phone, you have to really want that continuum, those features.